Our group started in about 1993. We were first named Us Two after a gentleman from Winnipeg, Mr. Norm Oman, who has since passed on, started a Us Two group in Winnipeg. He was contacted by Mr. Murray Brenner here in Calgary, and Mr. Brenner and him set up the Calgary group of Us Two. In 1995, in October, that was my first meeting, and I was like most of the people here that have had treatment. I was in a quest for information, and I had read, my uncle actually had been through Tom Baker about 3 years previous, and I'd read information actually in a Tom Baker waiting room that there was a group that had gotten started, and so I had contacted the Canadian Cancer Society, and they also, and what they did is they brought me out a binder of a whole bunch of stuff stuffed in a binder, and that was the information, and that was it. You know, you have to remember then, I mean, there basically was no internet, so everything was done by hand. In that meeting, Mr. Brenner was the facilitator, the president, and there was 19 people there. In early 1996, after my initial treatment, I moved on to the board of directors. We then, at some point here, early 1996, we had Manny Olson take over from Mr. Brenner as president, and we moved into the Coombs Theatre at the Tom Baker, which is 100. Most of you have been there, I'm sure. Is a 100-seat theater, and we continued the meetings on there for quite a while, probably up until about the year 2000, 2001. Myself, 98 and 99, I was the president of the organization, and then in 2000, Mr. Bob Shield became our president, and we moved in the Tom Baker Center. We moved over from the Coombs Theatre to the Foothills Auditorium. Continuing with the presidents here, Jason Bedard was president from 2007, 2009, and then William Smink from 2009, actually halfway through 2013, and now Mr. Belway is the president. In looking back at some of the things, we had some really, you know, we had some really good, interesting speakers that some we paid for and some we didn't have to pay for. We had a chap come out of Scottsdale, Arizona, who I happened to attend a meeting in January of Us Two, and I attended a meeting there, and Dr. Gordon Grado, by golly, he was the speaker that night, and he came to Calgary, I believe twice, maybe 3 times. We also had, and currently practicing in Los Angeles area, Dr. Duke Bond, who has, you know, been a real insight to new technologies, etc. He was in the Foothills Auditorium. Mark Moyad, and of course, Mark Moyad, I believe he's spoken to us twice. One of the ones I remember, and I can't remember the chap's name, he used to play on Don Messer's Jubilee. Now, does anybody here know Don Messer's Jubilee? No. Believe it, this chap retired in Sylvan Lake, and he gave and I don't know if anyone else remembers, but he gave the humorous side of prostate cancer, and he had really did have us rolling in the aisles, and that was his whole approach, is that you got to laugh about this thing. You know, there's not much else you could do about it. but he had retired to Sylvan Lake, and he came down and spoke to us there. We, of course, have had, you know, a constant array of our local urologists. Dr. Jack Williams was one of the first ones that spoke that I remember in you know, in the late 90s, and actually Jack was a wonderful character, and it went on. You know, we've always had some really good representation from the local urologists and the medical field, be it Tom Baker, and of course the University of Calgary, some of the projects that are going on there. Any questions by anybody that might arise from this short history?
Could you expand on what 1008 is?
Oh, that's where we met, and that's the name of it. It's called Venue 108 there at 14th Street and 8th Avenue. That's its actual address, 1008. And that's the. Do you remember the place?
I was there at once.
Yeah. Okay. And that was one of
the. Couldn't get in the front door.
No, you couldn't get in the front door. You had to go to the side door, Jerry. Yeah.
Okay, Ron. In
Thank you.
The time, I'm going to boot you off the podium. I'm just going to take us through very, very quickly the progress in therapies for this particular disease. And what I found interesting as I did a little bit of research on this in the radiation setting, is that radium was first clinically used as an isotope with respect to cancer, 1898. And the first curative attempts with brachytherapy was 1909. So this is amazing, and we do have an exceptional brachytherapy team in our own Tom Baker Center. We skipped down to the 50s and the 60s. External beam radiation was believed to be comparable to radical prostatectomy, but with less morbidity. And a little more than 10 years ago, gold marker seeds were being used to try to orient the patient's gland or orient the patient and align it up with the radiation beam better. Today, we really do have novel diagnostics, novel focal therapies targeting very specific hotspots. And I would say it's coming into the clinic. It's not here all the way in every aspect, but the technique is certainly present in many clinics across North America, but there's still undesirable side effects. And if we look at the surgical setting, prior to the 1980s, the anatomy of the prostate gland was really not all that well understood. And the surgical techniques were not standardized, the procedure was difficult, and there were high complications. Since 2001, techniques have improved, robotic techniques have been introduced into the clinic, and the long-term outcomes for surgery are excellent, and there's several reports of it being superior to other treatments. There's still undesirable side effects. In the pharmaceutical setting, this is really something that has changed over time. You've seen this particular slide before. It was prepared by Willem Smink for the January meeting. But if we look at the progression from when the role of the testes in relationship to the gland, and the fact that castration would reduce the testosterone level and result in some improved situation with respect to prostate cancer, and you progress along, there wasn't much happening up until about the mid-80s. And then this product here, 1985, is the the product that you would know that gets injected into your stomach as Eligard or Lupron. This is about the time when many of the organizations began to get organized, as you know, the support groups began to get organized. We slip in about 1993, and we've got a couple of additional compounds. So 1993, the foundation of this organization, you basically had maybe 2 or 3 drugs that were available to extend one's life. Certainly, there was no cure indicated at that point. As we slip right across to 2009 to 2013, we have this plethora of new drugs on the horizon and in the clinic, and I'm on one of them. And others in this room are on some of those new drugs as well. There's also been progress in the diagnosis and some considerable impact on the actual incidence of prostate cancer. So only a decade ago, men were diagnosed, men with prostate cancer basically were coming into the clinic with advanced disease. Today, the majority of these patients present with clinically localized disease at the time of diagnosis. And that's a time when it's easiest to develop a strategy to actually control the disease and to, in fact, do all of those treatments with the intent to cure the early clinically localized disease. Contributing factors were the PSA testing and some advances in terms of the digital rectal examination, or the tools around that, and the biopsy of the prostate, or both. So the management options with early diagnosed disease, it's surgery, various types of radiation therapy, cryosurgery, of which we do have an excellent practice in at the Tom Baker Center, and active surveillance. The optimal treatment for this localized disease, though, is unknown. And the reports in the literature are controversial. All that means is there's not agreement in terms of what you do first, what you do second, and things of that sort. There's undesirable side effects still with all of those particular therapies. So the challenges are that there have been great advances. Anything that you might have learned about the disease when you first were impacted by it has, and you received your primary treatment. Perhaps you're stabilized today and you may have a breakout. Everything that you learned 5 or 10 or 15 years ago, it's fundamentally different today, and it's going to be fundamentally different going into the future. So we do know that one size does not fit all. We do know that prostate cancer is not life-threatening and is a manageable disease for many men. But the total cure for all stages of the disease is not yet there. There you go.
Thanks for coming, and I hope everybody made their way through the front door today. You know, PCCN Calgary's had a very proud and strong 20-plus year history of assisting men and families as they face a diagnosis of prostate cancer, and we've been helping them along that journey. You know, this is a journey that nobody made reservations or called their travel agent for. Because of the hard work of our directors, our board members, numerous volunteers, and generosity of funders, we've been able to achieve a lot of great things in service to the Calgary community. Now we're going to look forward to the changing landscape of nonprofit organizations. We're hearing that there are definitely challenges in fundraising, in relevancy, in a broader market, and busy life. And we're going to try to meet those challenges and improve our services. We'll adapt to change, and we'll see about how we can best serve our community for the next 20 years. So just about myself, I guess I'm the start of the next generation. I'm the current president. I'm also the Alberta representative for the PCCN Advisory Council, where we liaise with other provincial and national PCCN organizations. I'm on the Prostate Cancer Canada Research Advisory Board. My background is over 20 years in medical research and the pharma industry, and a few years back I completed the nonprofit management program at Mount Royal University. Mostly I'm privileged because I'm able to work with a great, well-established organization and an incredible group of directors on our board. In November 2013, we had a workshop to try to find how we're going to best adapt to the changes that all nonprofit groups are facing. We reviewed what our mission, our vision, and our values are, and we defined where our focus should try to go for the next 20 years. You know, we're really going to try to develop value and relevancy as a peer-to-peer support group, and our other priorities are going to include education, advocacy, and awareness. Our vision is to be the go-to source of information for individuals diagnosed with prostate cancer, both in Calgary and southern Alberta. You know, we want to ensure that information is available to everyone and will support all persons with prostate cancer in the southern Alberta area. We don't think that any man should have to go through their journey with prostate cancer alone. And we would like to actually become a world leader in increasing public awareness and advocacy for prostate cancer. Everybody's path is unique, but we feel that our vision should be that everyone touched by prostate cancer will feel prepared as they move forward with that journey. Okay. Our mission, as it currently stands, is to support men and their families with prostate cancer, to increase public awareness, and to provide a strong provincial voice and advocacy. We want to ensure that the Calgary and area and those affected with prostate cancer are empowered to make informed decisions by having easy access to quality resources, including peer support. So this is in addition to the medical services and other allied health services that are available in Calgary. Our objective is to be sustainable, long-term, and to build a community that can provide this comprehensive information and a personal support network to those affected by prostate cancer. So how are we going to do that? Since our workshop, we've decided that collaborations with other nonprofit organizations is a great way to go. We're looking forward to working a great deal with the Prostate Cancer Centre here in Calgary. They provide a number of excellent clinical and medical services, and I think we're actually a good match for that group. They've also got their man van, which we'll be looking at bringing out to a number of our events. Recently, you know, we assisted in the Robbie Bernstein dinner, where a lot of the funds went to the Prostate Cancer Centre, and as well as bringing together the Jewish community and the Scottish community. I know it doesn't sound like a common mix, but it was a fun night, and here I am with Mr. Bob Scheel, who's been one of our long-standing members and who's just recently stepped down as the board, and we'd like to recognize him later on this year. Other collaborations we feel are important are with groups such as Wellspring. They hold a host of services which we really don't have the capacity to do and which complement what we do quite well. There's also other cancer-related nonprofit organizations which we're communicating with and looking for other unique ideas and areas where we can collaborate. We're still tied with Prostate Cancer Canada. You know, they're a great partner and they have an incredible national presence. They've also got a great brand, you know, that blue tie. This is a picture from the World of Wheels earlier this year where a fellow came by our booth and showed us, he had a little pin on his shirt. I go, oh, you know, it's nice of you to wear the pin. He goes, oh, if you think that's nice, look at this. And he rolled up his sleeve and has got a full arm tattoo of the blue tie that he dedicated to a friend of his. So you can't say that branding doesn't work in this area. Also, Prostate Cancer Canada is hosting a number of webinars, which we're making available to our public throughout a series of them that go throughout the year. Now, there's also branding. The blue tie is great, but that's a national organization. There's a lot of confusion around acronyms, so the board decided that we'll still keep the blue tie, we'll still keep the PCCN Calgary logo, but we're also going to go back to our old new branding of Prostaid Calgary to help avoid some of the confusion. So you will see that used in a dual sense, but hopefully it'll help people understand more of what we are and what we do and avoid some of the confusion that goes with the Prostate Cancer Centre, Prostate Cancer Canada Network, and so on. With Prostate Cancer Canada, though, we will still be utilizing a number of their resources with brochures, the webinars that I talked to. They've got a helpline. They've got some videos as well of Prostate Cancer 101, and we'll be utilizing some of those and linking them with our website to make them readily available to our members. Social media, you know, we've already got a Twitter feed. We've got a great website thanks to our videographer, Rhett here, who's done a phenomenal job. We're looking at exploring new areas of taking advantage of social media. It's a cheap, inexpensive, and broad-reaching tool. However, we also have to make sure that, you know, if you don't know the difference between a tweet, a poke, and a pin-up, then maybe there's something more that we need to do to make sure that everybody's aware of what our presence is in social media and how to best take advantage of it. We've got our monthly meetings. You know, Ron echoed a lot of all the good work that's been done over the years. We've had fantastic speakers, and we hope to continue to have a great myriad of healthcare professionals, allied health people, alternative health people, and other issues that affect the members here. And those monthly meetings are generally available online and in our video archive, and this is actually available to people globally and is actually viewed by that. We've also got a great partnership now with Darkside Racing. They came to us, and you know, they've been just a fantastic organization. It's a nitro-fueled dragster that goes around car shows. They've plastered our logo on the side of their dragster. Team at the bottom, they're hosting at various car shows, handing out pins, brochures, information, and it's a really interesting area for us to be partnered with, and we're very thankful for that opportunity. Upcoming, we've got our Father's Day run. Safeway's been hosting this for a number of years now, and they will again this year on Sunday, June 15th. We've got a team in there, the PCCN Calgary Warriors. If you have an opportunity, either yourself or somebody else, please join our team. It's easy to go online, just type in Safeway's Father's Day Run and look for the team called PCCN Calgary. Of all the monies raised there, half of it stays with our organization and half of it goes to the National Prostate Cancer Canada. We're not sure what's going to happen with Sobeys buying out Safeways, but they have committed to doing it this year, so hopefully we can take advantage and leverage that. At the end of June, we've got our show and shine. Ron Gorham's put together an incredible agenda. That's something we've been doing for a number of years now, and we're building up to an even bigger and better show this year. So make sure you let people know, tell your friends, come on out. It should be a great event that we're hoping gets a lot of media attention. It's in a great location, and it's a good, fun way of spreading the message and hopefully raising some funds for our group. We're also in the midst of organizing a fall symposium. Bill mentioned the $15,000 or $16,000 from J&J that's been put aside for advocacy. Part of this is our symposium, where we'll be having an advocacy workshop, having more information on medical treatments that are available and issues that are going to be pertinent to not only men with prostate cancer, but also their families, and we're going to have some areas of interest that will go to a broader audience, possibly people with other tumor group cancers or other malignancies. This will be a full day affair running morning and afternoon, and we're also hoping to have a keynote speaker for that, and we're right in the midst of planning, and Prostate Cancer Canada has dedicated $5,000 as well to help us run that program. As part of our PCCN Advisory Council, we're reaching groups across the country, across Canada. This picture I posted because this isn't a picture in Canada, but it's actually one of our directors, Mr. Rob Pentney at the back, standing at the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. And, you know, there's other men across the country that are doing tremendous feats, but this one sort of touched my heart a little deeper than others. You know, Rob sent this picture to me from Africa, stating that how proud he was to be able to stand on the top of Uhuru, the other name for Kilimanjaro, wear the blue tie, and make a small dedication to his father who passed away with prostate cancer. Movember. Movember's an organization which has just steamrolled the world as far as fundraising goes. The fundraising all goes towards research. That's one of the reasons we're trying to make sure we differentiate ourselves. But it's a very worthwhile cause, not just for men with prostate cancer today, but men who will have it later on in the future. They've made so much money, they've actually looked at expanding what they fund. Although prostate cancer is the focus of it, they're also funding mental health, which is an area that affects men with prostate cancer. And they're also doing some funding for testicular cancer. This funds an awful lot of research here in Canada, and it also offers a great opportunity for collaboration globally. I sit as well on Prostate Cancer Canada's research advisory, and this is where I get to sit with some of the medical experts across Canada and decide where we are going to allocate Movember funding for research based on specific scientific criteria and quality of the research proposals that come in for review. It should be noted that the monies that are raised in Canada, although they don't go to specific organizations, they do go to research in Canada, and that has quite likely put Canada as some of the forefront of prostate cancer research globally. The focus of what they're looking at is really 4 buckets: the basic or translational research. So the stuff that's really at the bench, but they hope to bring within a relatively short period of time, 5 to 7 years, to something that is clinically meaningful. They're also looking at survivorship. How do they get men to live longer with their disease, or you know, die of something else other than prostate cancer? They're looking at advanced disease, how to treat it better, and they're looking at biomarkers and earlier detection. Funding has gone to rising stars, young and upcoming people in research, to team grants where there's collaboration within the country, translation acceleration grants, so getting things to go from bench to bedside in a much shorter period, and travel awards to allow for collaboration on a global scale. So today, you know, our call to action here is PCCN Calgary, or Prostate Calgary. We're a community of support. You know, do it for yourself, do it for others, and join us. I look forward to serving this group in the years ahead and working with the board, some new, some old, to bring a lot of new, fresh, and worthwhile programs, as well as strengthen those proven ones that we've already got in place. I'd like to ask the members to increase the scope of our presence and their presence. We welcome all new faces to help with, to either be a part of our monthly meetings and also to involve themselves with volunteer activities, whether it be helping out at one of our programs or even sitting on our board. Your feedback and your suggestions are always welcome. So this organization exists because of its members, so please help us help you.